Now that we know how to set up a game of Golden Serpent and pay card and ability costs, let's look at the different card types. There are 5 card types in Golden Serpent: characters, relics, spells, leaders, and immortals. Characters, relics, and spells are the main card types you'll be playing with. Let's start with character cards. At the top center is the card's name, and below that is its subtype, which consists of the card's faction, card type, and any special super types. The upper left shows the card's expend cost, and the upper right shows its spell level. The placement of the name, subtype, expend cost, and spell level is consistent among all card types, although some cards may not have all of these fields. The expend cost tells you how many times you must expend a card as you put it into play. This card, for example, would come into play expended twice. The spell level determines how many spells that character can cast. We'll cover this in more detail when we talk about spell cards. This box shows the character's 2 attacks and its health. You'll see that each attack has an expend cost and a strength. The weak attack, which has a lower strength and cost, is always on top. This will be covered in more detail in the video on combat. A player can play any number of characters on their turn, but can only have up to 4 in play at any one time. Characters remain in play until they are either killed or returned to the player's hand. Now let's talk about relic cards. Again, the expend cost is in the upper left. Like characters, you can play any number of relics per turn, but can only have up to 4 unequipped relics in play at once. They also stay in play until destroyed or returned to your hand. Some relics have the special type Equipment. Equipment relics can be attached to any character in play, as long as the relic is ready and not already equipped to a character. Characters can have any number of equipments on them, and equipped relics don't count towards the 4 relic limit. If an equipped character leaves play, all relics equipped to it are discarded. Now let's move on to spell cards. Once again, the expend cost is in the upper left, and the spell level is in the upper right. Spells are put into play, take effect when they are ready, and are then discarded. Most spells, like this one, have an expend cost of 0, so their effect takes place immediately after being played. Other spells, like this one, come into play expended, and these have the special subtype Right. In order to cast a spell, you must have a character in play to cast it. Characters can cast any number of spells per turn, but every time they cast a spell, that spell's spell level is subtracted from the character's spell level. The character needs to have enough spell levels remaining to cast the spell. When a character casts a Right, it stays attached to that character until it leaves play. Characters can only be casting 1 Right at any given time. Characters can cast spells whether they are ready or expended, but the spell level to cast goes up by 1 for each time that character is expended, unless that character is in combat, in which case this penalty is ignored. Now we come to leader cards. All the leader cards in your deck should start the game in play, and you should have at least 1 and at most 3 of them. The goal of the game is to be the last player with any leader cards left in play. The health total of all your leaders is always 18, distributed evenly amongst them. So if you start the game with 1 leader, it starts with 18 health, 2 leaders start with 9 health each, and 3 leaders start with 6 health each. Now you'll see the leader's text box is divided into 2 parts. On the right side are all of its abilities, and on the left side are all of the level requirements to use those abilities. Every leader starts the game with 0 level counters. Whenever a card you control causes an opponent's character to be put into a discard pile, you may put 1 level counter on one of your leader cards. As your leaders level up, you'll unlock more of their abilities. This card, for example, unlocks abilities at levels 1, 2, and 5. Lastly, we come to Immortal cards. Immortal cards are special in that the only way to play them or remove them from play is to sacrifice prisoners, which we'll cover more in the video on taking prisoners. Above the Immortal's ability box, you'll see its attack bonus. Whenever you initiate an attack, all of your Immortal's attack bonuses will be added to the damage total. Now that you know how all the card types work, in the next video, we'll learn how to actually start playing with them.